Jackson Lake is huge, so it gives you the opportunity to get more away from people. It has a great little swim beach called Colter Bay. We were kind of hiked out after this day, or after the few days before, and we just wanted some R&R time. People windsurf here, kite surf. This guy was cruising around on a stand-up paddleboard, and the scenery is just so beautiful. Plus, you have a little bit more kind of elbow room to get away from people. So I would definitely recommend doing this as well. It's in the northernmost part of the park. So if you guys go to the next slide, there we go. Thank you. One of my favorite things about Enchanting Travels is that we can do your trips as structured or unstructured as you want them to be. So if you want a couple of days to explore these national parks, let us give you these kinds of personal insights. I think we've had at least 4 travel consultants from our team so far this summer visit these parks. So we have a lot of insights that we can give you to help you maximize your time and your interest when you have those free days. But then we also have privately guided tours that we can offer just like any of our other destinations. We can do a wildlife tour out of Jackson. We can do a scenic float trip down the Snake River with bald eagles swooping overhead if you're lucky. For those of you who are more adrenaline junkies, we can do a white water rafting trip. And the list really just goes on and on. We'd love to speak with you about what your specific interests are and ideas. And from there, we can curate a trip that matches your interests. Following Jackson and the Tetons, we went into Yellowstone National Park. I think this is a must-do because from Jackson Lake, there's actually a highway that connects these 2 parks. So it's a quick shot to access both of them in one trip. Yellowstone is, I was surprised by how many more people were in Yellowstone than Grand Teton. It's our oldest national park. It's also one of our largest and one of our most famous. So I think for us, the art of putting together a Yellowstone trip for you is figuring out what are your specific interests and then putting you in the hotels that get you closest to those spots. Because the park is so big that if we don't put you in the right hotel and you're not able to start your morning early, then you'll spend your entire day driving. And by the time you get to where you want to see, there's going to be so many other people around. For me, it really took away some of the experience. But there's so much to go over with Yellowstone. There's so many things to do that we can talk about later. But I'll tell you my favorite day in Yellowstone. We went to Lamar Valley, which is known as the Serengeti of Yellowstone. And we did one of the tours that we offer, which is a private wildlife tour here. There's tons of different animal species here, but one of the most famous are the wolves that were reintroduced. This is kind of their hunting ground. So we went with a private guide who had binoculars and these long range cameras. And he took us to this spot that you can see here in this picture. And if you follow the creek around to the right, and then there's a little ridge line, we were able to see through his cameras 2 wolves that were tearing at a bison carcass. And when you take the binoculars, the cameras down, you can't even tell anything's out there. There's no way you'd be able to see it with your naked eye, but he knew the spots and it was so awesome. We could actually tell in the camera the back flank of this wolf had been kind of torn. And he said that it was because the day before the grizzly bears and the wolves had been fighting over this carcass. So it was just really awesome. I know that there's wildlife lovers on this call. I know that there's some photographers on this call. We got there really early in the morning when the light was super soft and the fog was just kind of low lying. And it was just a beautiful day, a really cool experience. So if that's at all interesting to you, I would highly recommend that you do that while you're in Yellowstone. This is another picture of those bears that I keep talking about. We actually saw 2 grizzly bears in Lamar Valley as well. That was heading down toward the kill, but we didn't stick around all day to see how that worked out. But we would love to put together a trip for you, in the US or elsewhere. I will say that for the national parks, if this is on your bucket list and it's something you really want to do, reach out to us now so we can start looking at availability and securing that for you. Yellowstone, Grand Teton, and some of the other large ones, they get more than half of their annual visitors between June and August. So availability becomes tight, especially when domestic travel is, um, so revived at the moment. But thank you for listening to my portion here. I hope you found some of this helpful.